And so really a lot of what we're going to talk about today is how we're increasing capacity, what we're doing to make sure that people and businesses both here in Saskatchewan have an ability to do the kind of things they need to do for their personal lives, okay, or for their businesses. With that, I'm going to take you to a slide that little small, okay, and so I'm just going to throw some numbers out to you, but this is all about what happens in an internet minute. And it really gets at what we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. We're no longer really a telephone company. We're an ICT company. We're involved in communications and information technology. That's our business, and that's where our future is going to be, as a matter of fact. In an internet minute, there's a lot of things that take place on the internet, but I'm going to draw your attention just to 3 or 4 of them, okay? 100,000 new tweets every minute. If you're talking about video, okay, you're talking about 1.3 million video views every minute. 30 hours of uploads every minute. The traffic is becoming extraordinary, and it's going to require new techniques and new approaches if we're going to match it. But what I want to really point out, not just the amount of traffic, but the type of traffic. Depending who you talk to and which vendor it is, okay, they're telling us that up to 70 or 80% of the traffic that will be on the internet by 2016 is going to be video. Video is different than running text over a particular network. Video is about high quality, it's about HD, and in fact it's moving closer now to something called, I think it's called 4X HD. And again, it just requires more pixels, more data, etc. But quality is very important. People will not put up with pixelization, okay, if they're going to watch a video. They want something that is smooth, it doesn't stutter, okay, it gives them the kind of experience they've come to expect from their own TV sets. And that's how we have to build our network. Now, what does it mean about data usage? Sort of how fast is it climbing here in Saskatchewan? Well, I can tell you it's incredible is the kind of growth we've seen. So we went live with our 4G network back in August of 2010, and that was really the start of the data explosion. It provided the kind of technologies that people could use wherever they were. You know, it becomes completely mobile, completely portable. And in total, over the last 3 years, we've had an 800% growth in data that we're running on wireless networks. And you can see every month it doesn't stop. It continues to grow. And that's the environment within which we're going to be operating in the next number of years. The next chart gives you our forecasted data usage here in Saskatchewan when you look at both wireline and wireless. And you can see it's a fairly steep curve. It's not slowing down. We would love to see it stabilize a little bit, but it's not going to. We're talking about 700% growth over the next 5 years in the amount of data that we have to manage. Now you're probably asking yourself, what is the blue section and what is the red section? Okay, well, the top of the blue section is where we forecast the growth to be over those next 5 years. But there are ways to deal with growth. And it's not just about building more towers and adding more spectrum or any of these things that people are fairly familiar with, but there are software solutions. And the blue section that you see on this particular graph is something called data optimization. So every day when you're asking for video from a particular server, the video is basically sent out with a sense of being able to supply, say, a 21-inch monitor. And so it's a larger amount of data. Data optimization is going to give us the ability to be able to strip away some of that data and actually stream the video, okay, to a small cell phone in a much more efficient manner. And again, it's a software algorithm, that's all it is. It's actually pretty simple, but when we put it in place in June, it's going to give us another vehicle, another way to be able to manage some of that data growth. So again, there's a lot of things that have to be brought together. It's a fairly sophisticated system. We're trying to move forward with something that is moving towards complete convergence. Long term, whether you're on wireless, whether you're on wireline, whether you're at home or business, etc., okay, they're just different access points. And in the past, each of our networks was actually very separate. So it's a much different environment that we're working our way to at the present time. Now I want to talk a little bit about our commitment to network infrastructure here in Saskatchewan. And there is times when we've run into congestion. People are aware of that. My staff especially are quite aware of it. We do hear from our customers when that happens. But the government and SaskTel have had their eye on the ball over this period of time. And from 2008 through to 2014, we've spent about $1.2 billion on the networks alone. We are working to future-proof the system, the networks, to make sure that capacity is there for people as we move forward. And this is everything from fiber optics that we're bringing out to the new LTE service that was put in place in 2013 and that we're going to expand in the future. All of this, again, is going to make sure that we're able to meet people's needs as we do go forward. In terms of infrastructure, we have a lot of different infrastructures out there, but a lot of it is old. And really what we're going to try to do going forward is take ourselves and start to focus around certain types of infrastructure that will be important in the long run. First and foremost, our 4G network, okay, is going to be the workhorse for us for the next number of years. But it's going to also lead on to 4G LTE, and again, we've started to introduce that into the system. And over time, you'll see a gradual transition out of 4G and onto LTE. And LTE long-term is where our future is going to be. And you'll see that there's a second aspect to LTE just below here, LTE TDD. And this is a brand new product that we're bringing out in 2014. We call it Fusion Internet, so you might see it by a different name. And this is a wireless product that will be on some of our wireless towers in the southern part of the province initially. There's 13 towers we're working on. And this particular product provides high-speed internet for those that don't have the landline capability. Now initially we'll be offering a 5 megabit per second product, which is a lot of what people in major urban centers are still using. But in the future we intend to see that grow and expand, and we've actually been able to operate on a tower with this kind of equipment attached to it at 100 megabits per second. So the opportunities in the future to use this as a long-term solution to ensure that people in rural areas have the right volume of the right capacity, the right speeds of internet, okay, is really there. We're very excited about the product and what it's going to hold for us in the future. We're going to continue to push out fiber. You'll see some numbers in a minute, but fiber is the future for us. Some parts of our network date all the way back to the 1950s, okay. It is not only a little slow sometimes, okay, but it does have maintenance problems, okay, on an ongoing basis. After a rainstorm, we do see a larger spike in things like shorts, for instance, okay. So moving to a brand new network, one that is future-proof, is ideal for us. And when I say future-proof, what I mean is that today we can offer 260 megabits per second to our customers. So you sign up for fiber, if you sign up for Infinet, again, sort of the world is your oyster. You can get whatever you want. But that's not the end of it. In the very near future, I believe we'll be offering, excuse me, we'll be offering 300 megabits per second, 350, 400, 500, and the potential you can go up to a gig, and all you do is you change the electronics. And again, that means that we should be safe for the next 20 years, I would think, in terms of the kind of network we're building today. And I think that foresight will pay off for the province and it'll pay off for SaskTel. The other part of what we're doing in 2014 is continue to build out our rural Ethernet transport network. And so it's not just as easy in rural Saskatchewan as taking a copper line or taking fiber out to someplace. You need to have a backbone that takes the aggregate amount of data, the aggregate amount of traffic, and transports it back to central hubs that we have. This has become a little bit of a bottleneck for us, and we're investing around $10 million this year. We've done some work already around Moose Jaw. We'll be moving into the PA area to reinforce the network up there. And that's really the backbone to running something like LTE TDD or extending fiber to different places. You need that backbone to give you the kind of transport capability. So turning a little bit to the 2014 investment and where the highlights are, $61 million for Infinet. $61 million to take fiber optics out to more people's homes, to businesses. $36.8 million going for 4G wireless network enhancements. And in 2014, we'll not be expanding coverage, but we'll be focusing on adding capacity and densifying our network. Now, capacity in terms of adding spectrum to towers, things like that, but in addition, putting more towers into certain urban areas, okay, to make sure that where there are coverage gaps, there are problems with capacity, okay, there's simply more power, more horsepower, essentially, okay, to deliver the kind of speeds that people want. In addition, we're spending another $81.6 million for basic network growth. Everybody knows that the population is booming, that GDP is increasing here in Saskatchewan, okay? But that has a trickle-down effect for all of the crowns. For us, it means that we have more people we need to service. That means we got to run more fiber, more backbone, okay, in the major urban centers. It means for a lot of the business community, they're trying to do things differently. They're trying to find faster ways to connect their parts of the business here in Saskatchewan to parts that may be outside of Saskatchewan. They're trying to find new ways to be more efficient. And technology really seems to be the answer in most cases for those things. Now, fiber. There are two aspects to our fiber build. Again, there's a residential aspect, and in 2014 we'll be spending $55 million. We intend to pass another 33,000 or roughly 34,000 homes, and we're going to connect up another 18,000. In 2013, we had a great year. We passed 40,000 homes and connected up around 16,000 homes that are now on the Infinet product. In total, Infinet now is serving pretty close to 25,000 residents' homes here in Saskatchewan. And again, we're going to continue to grow that number over time. It seems to have been a big hit, and the only way you can measure that are people taking advantage, okay, of the capacity that's there. And our first numbers that are in is that roughly 24% of the people that actually sign up on Infinet, they're actually taking a 100 megabit per second product right away. They want that additional capacity if they've got 3 kids or 4 kids, okay? They want that additional capacity if they like to stream video or watch Netflix. And one of the interesting stats that we've gleaned from some of the things that come out on a day-to-day basis is that here in Saskatchewan, the highest per capita use of Netflix in Canada is here, right here in Saskatchewan. These are products that people want, and they need the capacity in the network to do it. In addition, we're expanding fiber out to the businesses in Saskatoon, Moose Jaw, and Prince Albert. We'll actually be starting to connect businesses in Saskatoon and Moose Jaw this year, and we'll lay the groundwork in Prince Albert so that businesses in Prince Albert have the ability to access much faster speeds starting in probably 2015. Now, one of the questions that always comes up, and you can talk about technical specifications to your blue in the face, and for lots of people it doesn't mean a lot. I think you have to almost give examples to give a sense of what does it mean to get fiber optics into your home. And so what we tried to do is show here a little bit of a comparison between SaskTel Infinet and the fastest speeds that you can get on cable. It doesn't mean that everybody has those, but you know, if you want to try to do a comparison between the two, how much faster is it? Well, if you want to talk about downloading a 6 gigabyte hard HD movie, 8 minutes on cable, 1 minute on SaskTel Infinet. If you want to talk about downloading 25 megabit songs, okay, it's 8 seconds on cable, 3 seconds on Infinet. If you're talking about uploading 100 2 megabit photos, 176 seconds on cable, 29 seconds, okay, when it comes to SaskTel Infinet. And if you're a gamer, if you want to be the best gamer in Saskatchewan, you get on Infinet. It's got substantially less latency, okay. You know, if you're evenly matched, you're going to win. You're just going to be faster. So we're giving that advantage now to those that love gaming as well. But Infinet is the product. It is the fastest in Saskatchewan. It gives you the most capacity in Saskatchewan. And long term, it gives you a growth path. Now our 4G investment, I mentioned earlier that we are putting in $37 million more into our 4G network here in Saskatchewan, but it is not going to be coverage improvements. Rather, it's going to be focused on enhancing the 4G portion of our network, making sure it's a little denser, making sure that what we have is a little bit more spectrum on it to continue to handle the growth that goes through the rest of 2014. In addition, we'll put in another $1.8 million for LTE, and that's what long-term evolution is. It's LTE. It's the next product that we're putting out in the market right now, and that simply allows us to continue to grow it in the 9 major urban centers where we have LTE today. In addition, there's simply a lot more demand on the core network that we have, the core that resides in Regina and Saskatoon, and we're going to put another $5 million into the wireless network demand, okay, to make sure at the core switching we have the ability to handle the kind of traffic and the kind of loads that continue to be out there. We're seeing that cell phone penetration is continuing to increase going forward, and with the growth in population, there's more customers every day. One of the things we will be looking at and actually starting to do in 2014 as well is to begin a shutdown of our CDMA network. We'll be releasing, or we'll be taking EVDO, which is the data component of CDMA, off starting in 2014. And you're going to see a lot more of our customers that still are on the old CDMA network begin to move across to 4G LTE. Something that's probably in their best interest, and from our perspective, we want to get people all on one network over a period of time as well. Now this brings me to a slide that explains a little bit of our network transformation over time. And so the network that we had before August of 2010 that just about everybody in Saskatchewan was on was called CDMA. And you can see what the speeds were with CDMA. And again, if it was operating in prime condition, you could get 3 megabits per second. Depending where you were, distance, a lot of different things, okay, your download speeds might be around 0.4 to 0.8 megabits per second, so not very fast. It was a difficult network to do things on. There was no internet coverage, for instance, okay, so it had its limitations. We put in 4G in 2010. It gives you up to 21 megabits per second, it does. The expected download speed can be anywhere between 1.5 and 7 megabits per second, depending upon the kind of distance you are from the towers, just a wide variety of different factors that play into it. The latest network we launched in 2013, okay, is 4G LTE, and it's simply taking the 4G network and overlaying on it this new product called LTE. Now, unlike past networks, okay, where we actually had separate cores, they were very separate from one another, 4G LTE operates in the first converged core in Canada. We're the first wireless company that's actually taking two networks and running them through one core switch. So whether you're on LTE or whether you're on 4G, you're really on sort of the same network. It's an integrated network for the first time. And that is the future of where we're going to be. LTE gives you up to 100 megabits per second, and you can get expected download speeds if you're out in the field, okay, in some distance, somewhere between 10 and 15 megabits per second. So you can see the kind of qualitative improvement that's going on in terms of our network capacity and our network speeds right now. Finally, data centers. There's always some thought that data centers are a new line of business for us. And I guess I partly want to dispel that myth. We've been running data centers now for roughly 20 years. It's not a new line of business for us. We've done cloud computing for about 15 years. These are not new things for us to be delivering out into the market. Now, they weren't things that were well used in the market. They weren't capabilities that people in the market wanted, and essentially a lot of it was just for ourselves at that point in time. But there's been an explosion. People now don't want to take care of their servers. They want somebody who's going to provide that kind of support. They want somebody who's going to provide the backup power, the double redundancy, the security, and all the other things that you need if you want to run your business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We now have facilities in Regina and Saskatchewan that are safe and secure. We have redundant utility feeds, uninterruptible power supply generators, power distribution units, cooling. We have everything that's necessary to run what's called Tier 2 data centers. In addition, the security is second to none. In addition to having guards, okay, it's the latest technology in terms of biometrics, video surveillance, sort of all the bells and whistles to make sure that what goes into our data centers, okay, is safe and allows companies to continue to operate and focus really on their core business. The latest expansion to our series of data centers is here in Saskatchewan, and we're going to give you the opportunity to have a look at it. It was newly designed. It's just being opened up. Our first customer is actually in it. It's 4,500 square feet of new data center area. We've been able to, through the processes that we've engineered into this new addition to our data center fleet, faster implementation times. So from the time somebody wants to be in there and get up and running, it's going to be much, much quicker. There's a much different design in terms of managing the temperatures, because cooling is one of the larger costs that you undertake when you build data centers. And in this climate, okay, it should be relatively easy to cool a data center. In some ways, it's a bit of an advantage. So we've put in 200 tons of dedicated air conditioning. So during the summers, we can definitely continue to manage some of that. But overall, what you're going to see is something that is positioning us for the future. In addition, it's giving the kind of capacities right here in Saskatchewan, the Saskatchewan companies, businesses, the health sector, the education sector have access to, instead of having to leave the province to be able to pick up those kind of features. We're very excited about it. We see continuing to expand our data centers over the next number of years, and in fact, I anticipate there'll be a further expansion in 2014.